Karoline Leavitt's Secret Double Life. You won't believe who she really is. Chapter 1. The Midnight Disappearance. It was a crisp fall evening in Maplewood, a small but vibrant town where everyone knew everyone's name, or so it seemed. Karoline Leavitt sat at her desk, the faint hum of her laptop the only sound in her sparsely furnished apartment. The apartment was simple, modern, nothing extraordinary, just like the life she portrayed. She had a reputation in the town as a diligent journalist for the Maplewood Gazette, and the locals adored her. But tonight, Karoline wasn't just finishing an article about the local library's renovation project. No, tonight was different. As the clock ticked past midnight, she was adding final touches to an exposé on a corrupt real estate mogul, Gary Thornton, whose shady dealings were about to be unveiled to the entire town. Everyone trusted him, but Karoline knew better. He was the mastermind behind several illegal land grabs that had displaced local families, and she had the evidence to prove it. But as her fingers hovered over the keyboard, an unexpected buzz from her phone broke her concentration. The message was short, cryptic, and chilling. "It's time." She felt a cold shiver run through her. Who was it? A friend? A foe? She didn't have time to question it. Her second life, her real life, was calling. Karoline grabbed her coat, turned off the laptop, and stepped out into the night. The town was silent. The moon hung high in the sky, casting long shadows over the streets. As she walked briskly to the outskirts of town, her heart raced in anticipation. She wasn't just a journalist, she was a spy. By day, she uncovered local corruption. By night, she uncovered international conspiracies. Her destination, the abandoned train station. No one had used the station in years. Its dilapidated structure was a haunting reminder of Maplewood's past, yet it was a secret hub of operations for Karoline. A hidden keypad embedded in the cracked wall granted her access to a passageway leading deep beneath the earth. Tonight, she was meeting the architect, a shadowy figure who controlled the covert network that Karoline worked for. Her mission wasn't just to expose local corruption anymore. It was to uncover something much bigger, something global. Karoline was the key player in a complex web of espionage, and everything she knew was about to change. Chapter 2. The Other Side of Karoline. The hidden chamber under the train station was cold, dim, and sterile. The flickering lights reflected off polished metal surfaces, and the air smelled faintly of oil and dust. Karoline had been here countless times, but each time felt like a new world. She moved swiftly through the maze of underground tunnels and corridors, finally arriving at a steel door. The architect, an old man shrouded in mystery, sat at a table, waiting. His face was partially obscured by a shadow, but his piercing eyes seemed to look straight through her. "You're late," he said, his voice gravelly. "Apologies," Karoline replied, her tone calm despite the rising tension in her chest. She hadn't expected to feel this nervous, but something about tonight felt different. The architect slid a thick dossier across the table toward her. The papers inside were classified, redacted in many places. She flipped it open and immediately froze. The first thing she saw was the picture of Mayor Douglas Wren, the beloved mayor of Maplewood. Her mind raced. Douglas Wren? The very man who had worked tirelessly for the town, who had built schools and parks, who had been instrumental in keeping Maplewood thriving. What connection could he possibly have to the shadowy global syndicate known only as the Consortium? "He's been playing both sides," the architect explained, his voice low. "He's not the man he appears to be. He's been funneling money into offshore accounts linked to the Consortium. We need you to bring him down." Karoline's heart skipped a beat. She'd never expected this, but the truth was clear. Her small town, the town she loved, had been compromised from the inside. The people she trusted, people like Mayor Wren, were puppets in a much larger game. The architect's words echoed in her head. He's working for them. Chapter 3. The Mission. Over the next several days, Karoline's life split into two realities. By day, she was Karoline Leavitt, the cheerful journalist. She attended town meetings, wrote about local events, and kept her ear to the ground for any stories that might surface. She had to maintain her cover, after all. By night, however, she was something entirely different. Shadow Lynx, a master of subterfuge. She began digging into Mayor Wren's life, tracking his movements, his phone calls, and even the people he met with. The deeper she went, the more layers of deceit she uncovered. Karoline found that Wren's connections to the consortium went far beyond money. He was an active participant in their operations, serving as an intermediary between the global organization and local authorities. In exchange for his cooperation, Wren had amassed a fortune and protected his family's legacy. Each night, Karoline visited the mayor's office, skillfully bypassing security and using her expert hacking skills to access confidential files. It wasn't long before she found a shocking discovery, a ledger detailing illicit payments from Wren to powerful figures in the consortium. These payments had been disguised as donations to local charities, but in reality, they were bribes to keep the mayor's involvement a secret. Karoline was horrified. Not only was Mayor Wren a criminal, but he was selling out his own town. Yet she knew she had to stay focused. Exposing him would be the first step in taking down the consortium's grip on Maplewood and possibly much, much more. Chapter 4. Unraveling the Lie. The days turned into weeks as Karoline continued her investigation, slowly unraveling the web of lies woven around her town. She couldn't afford to slip up. Every move she made had to be calculated, and every piece of evidence had to be perfect. One mistake could lead to her downfall. As she pieced together the information, she realized that the mayor was just the tip of the iceberg. The consortium's reach extended further than she had ever imagined, into the town's business community, the police force, even the local schools. There were people everywhere, operating under the radar, ensuring the syndicate's control over every aspect of Maplewood's life. But then, just as she thought she had everything under control, something unexpected happened. Mayor Wren began to sense that someone was onto him. Karoline had been careful, too careful, but even the smallest misstep could lead to disaster. She received an encrypted message one morning, just as she was preparing to send the mayor's incriminating files to a larger network of journalists. "You've been compromised. We know who you are. Back off, or it will be your last mistake." Karoline's blood ran cold. Someone knew her secret identity. She wasn't just at risk of exposing the mayor anymore, she was now a target. And someone wanted her to stop. Chapter 5. The Betrayal. The message kept her up at night. The fear was new to Karoline. She had always been in control, always a step ahead. But this time, she was out of her depth. The anonymous threat was chilling. She'd made enemies before, but never like this. Whoever was behind the message had power that reached far beyond Maplewood. Despite the growing danger, Karoline knew she couldn't stop. She had come too far, uncovered too much. The town deserved the truth. Her plan was simple: expose Mayor Wren, publish the evidence, and force the authorities to take action. She would leave town immediately after, disappear into the shadows once again. But just as she was preparing to release the story, disaster struck. The files she had uploaded were suddenly deleted. All her hard work, gone in an instant. She immediately suspected sabotage. It was then that she realized the betrayal came from within. Someone close to her, someone she had trusted, had turned against her. Chapter 6. The Final Move. With no time to waste, Karoline had no choice but to act fast. She made a daring move, bypassing all her usual protocols and going straight to the public. The story about Mayor Wren broke like a thunderclap. The town was in chaos. Wren was arrested, his empire of corruption crumbling. But Karoline knew this was just the beginning. The consortium's influence ran deep, and the people behind it wouldn't go down without a fight. As the town's lights flickered and sirens blared in the distance, Karoline packed a small bag, preparing for her departure. She would vanish, as she always did. The mission wasn't over, and it never would be. Just as she was about to leave, she received one final message on her phone. "You won this round, Shadow Lynx. But we are everywhere." With that, Karoline disappeared into the night, knowing that the battle was far from over.